On March 23rd, we were anchored close to Pig Beach near Staniel Key in the Bahamas, listening on the radio to an announcement being made by the Prime Minister. In an effort to better protect the citizens of the Bahamas, he issued a multitude of executive orders that would make it increasingly difficult for foreign cruisers like us to continue cruising in the Bahamas. So that very evening, we made plans to start heading back home to the United States. And while the coronavirus has affected our cruising plans, Heather and I want to take this moment to express our sincere sympathy for those who have been more seriously affected.
So it's the 24th of March, and we are actually on our way back to the States. We hadn't originally planned to be back until the end of April, but last night the Prime Minister got on, we heard it on the radio, but apparently the Bahamas is going on full lockdown. They're closing everything. Not sure on the details on how that would impact, cruisers already in the island, but it sounded like they wanted to restrict movement between the islands. So we didn't want to get stuck or trapped there. We decided last night that we were going to just pull anchor and start headed for home. I know it's probably not going to be optimum to get home either, because it sounds like everything's still crazy there. But at least we'll be back in familiar territory. If it's hard enough to find supplies here on a good day, so if things get crazy like in the States, they just don't have enough stuff to supply everybody if they start panic buying. So luckily we had stocked up with food, with fuel, with water. Everything's fully loaded, so it's a good time to head out. Right now we left the Exuma Islands at Highborn Key first thing this morning, and we're headed to New Providence Island for tonight. So we're hoping that we're not going to get there and there'll be any issue with us trying to anchor. The few cases of the coronavirus that they've had so far are in New Providence Island in Nassau. So they definitely don't want it to spread. This is not a resource-rich country. They don't have a lot of medical hospitals and stuff throughout the island, so they want to do everything they can to stop this virus before it spreads, which is understandable. So anyway, you just got to be flexible, especially the way everything's going right now. It's crazy, but we should be home, or back to the States anyway, by Saturday if all goes as planned. We're just hearing that a lot of the marinas and seaports and stuff are shutting down. Not that we need a marina, but we're hoping that we don't get locked into a place and can't leave. Ultimately, we want to be in St. Augustine, but we're going to go and check into Palm Beach. So we have to hang around there for a while. That's fine. They have access to grocery stores, and it's not a bad place to hang out. So we'll hope for the best and see what happens. Life is an adventure. exercise in, hiking uphill. But what a beautiful hike. Can't beat the scenery. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. A huge nest. I mean, it almost looks like you'd expect a pterodactyl to live in there. Probably an osprey or something.
Today is Tuesday, March 24th, and we are headed to West Bay, New Providence Island, from Highborn Key. And last night, the Prime Minister of the Bahamas was on the radio and TV making an announcement and basically locking down the Bahamas. And it's time to start heading home. So if the weather holds, we're going to have probably it'll take about 5 days to get home. We're going to go from here, Highborn Key. We'll be going to West Bay on New Providence Island, the same island that Nassau is on, but West Bay is on the west side. From there, we're going to go to the Berry Islands, the bottom of the Berry Islands around Chub Key, a little key called Fraser's Hog Key, and then make our passage from there to West Palm Beach.
trip back to the States. We picked up the anchor at about 3:30 this morning. Figure it's going to take us 30 hours to get back to West Palm. And we had to time it so that we could get there during an ingoing tide. When the tide goes out there, it rips out like 3.5 knots. So anyway, that means we have to be there by 1. That's when the tide changes to out. So far, we're having a great sail. We've got great winds. We're doing about 6 knots under total sail. Of course, we're going to have to change directions probably in about 4 hours, and that'll slow us down a little bit. But anyway, goodbye Bahamas. Hello USA.
We made it to and through the Lake Worth Inlet at slack tide and weaved our way south through the large fleet of anchor boats and set our anchor in a more remote area of the lake. It ended up being a bit too exposed and bumpy for our liking though, so the next day we moved a little further south between the Flagler Memorial Bridge and the Royal Park Bridge. This turned out to be a pretty nice anchorage for the next several weeks. In our next video, we leave Palm Beach during a small craft advisory and head for St. Augustine.